Hello, thanks for a good intro, Paul, and thanks to Parkland, I guess, for hosting this, and 40 North, the Arts and Entertainment Council, for co-sponsoring this event. Like Paul said, I am Kurt. I'm a graphic designer in town. I did go to school here at Parkland for graphic design. That was almost 10 years ago is when I left. Since that time, I got a job almost immediately, right after I was done at Parkland. And then 3 years later, I went and started my own business. And today I'll be kind of going through, I guess, those transformations. I guess my transformation from just a student of Paul's to a working professional. So, next slide. This is was kind of my senior project. This is a portfolio website I did. Mo Bielema is a play on my name. It was supposed to be so people could actually pronounce my last name, which is Bielema. So Mo Bielema was supposed to help. I don't think it did. People still... It was just an idea. But anyway, this is the site that came out of it. There's a play on words, mobiles, Mo Bielema. And this is all done in Flash, which is, no one does that anymore, for good reason. But it had my student work, which I'll just show you a couple things. Here's a poster for Dearly Departed, Parkland Theater, a CD cover design, which is really why I got into graphic design in the first place, is to work or do things for music. But this is the only one I ever did. I don't know how that happened. I've never been asked to do another one. This is an invite for the now defunct Champaign-Urbana Ad Club. At the time, it was kind of the kudo of its day. It's where our graphic designers did things socially. There was an award ceremony every year, and this was the invite for that award ceremony. Or this was just a student piece, actually. And that's just an ad. So let me get to the next screen. Prequel. All right, I warned Paul about this. We're going way back to when, even before I went to college, I was in high school. And I knew about graphic design, but I had no idea what it could really do for me, or what I could do with it. At the time, I thought I could just make posters for my bands that I was in. So it was all hand-done, hand typography. At the time, I was basically copying things I saw around, saw different posters. And I wasn't afraid to use color, actually, as you see, because it's my first color piece. All right, moving on. I got a job. The job I got was at Taylor Studios, Inc. in Rantoul, Illinois. And what they did, and what they still do, is they create museum exhibits and graphics and museum design for museums, nature centers, interpretive centers all over the United States. So this is a job coming out of Parkland. Getting that job was really what I needed, because it really opened my eyes to a whole other world of not just what you can do with prints, but just what you can do with the information that I was trying to communicate. And my very first job was for Stone Mountain it's in Stone Mountain, Georgia, which is by Atlanta. But they had a name for the exhibit called A Landscape in Motion, but they didn't have really any design for it yet. And probably my first or second week there, I did basically the thing on top, but it was more like a poster, and that basically drove the whole exhibit. They liked that so much that that was the design for exhibit, and we carried it out through all the exhibit graphics and a lot of the exhibit furniture and the exhibit design. So that was a really great project, because I really got to, I guess, fulfill all my creative desires. There's another one from Stone Mountain. This is all about geologic time, the different periods. Here's an illustration I did for Burpee Nature Center, which is in Rockford. And this was another thing that I did very early in the project, but it actually kind of the whole project was based on this illustration. Another early project was the Dream of Flight, which, as you can see here, this is a Da Vinci designed ornithopter, which a guy sits in here, and the theory was like if he flapped his wing or flapped his arms really fast, he could actually fly. Of course, that never worked. But Taylor Studios developed this traveling exhibit called the Dream of Flight, which I was a big part of too, like developing the graphics and the design of everything. Freelancing. During this time too, I was working 40 to 60 hours a week at Taylor Studios, but I was always freelancing at the time. And it was mostly websites. And it was mostly websites for local businesses. Because this was 2002, 2003. Everyone had agreed that the web was not going to go away, and everyone wanted a website. So I came into it right at the right time to help a lot of people out. And I decided to take Bielema a step further. And this is the combination of kind of all my interests, freelancing, my Taylor Studios work, and there's even a section that some of the music I recorded over time. So I really combined everything into this one little site. And that's what really kind of launched me. I started getting more and more requests for work to do, and my freelance career was starting to outweigh the amount of hours that I had available for my other job. So I needed to make a decision, and so I decided the best way to do that was to develop a PowerPoint presentation. And this was to convince my wife that it was a good idea. Why go solo? And so I had to argue, not really argue, but just like present the amount of work that I had and how long I would be able to maintain myself as a freelance graphic designer. And that was 6 years ago. So I think I made the right decision in more ways than one. So Bielema, like I said, the name wasn't really working, so I came up with another name, and single stereo, and another whole concept. Single stereo is what I still go under. It's a Studio One, as I like to say. I do have a whole host of collaborators and specialists and people that I do projects with, but still it's basically me that's doing the creative direction. And a lot of times I'm doing a lot of the project management and a lot of the communication. So this is the website that I have currently to showcase the work. And I'll just go through single stereo. I was trying to think of what I wanted to say about it. It is a studio that combines ideas, images, and insights. A studio that listens, questions, concerns, and kudos, of course. A studio that sees smartly, expertly, and professionally. And a studio of sound vision, learning the problem, seeing the potential, and knowing the solution. And what do I do with single stereo? I do this is my current expertise list of things: web design, print design, environmental graphic design, exhibit design, and creative direction. Things I don't list there that I do a lot, like I say, is doing a lot of project management, because unfortunately that's probably about half my time is not doing design. It's communicating through email. It's communicating with collaborators, communicating with web developers about certain projects. So now I'm here. I'm currently developing a new website. I've simplified what I do. It's creative web and print, and I guess you kind of have to know what these things mean before you really understand, but hopefully everyone understands creative and web and print. I'm going to go through some more of my work. Logos come and go, but these are the ones I've done probably in some of the ones I've done in the past 10 years. As you can see, they're all different shapes and sizes and styles. The one up in the top right is the Carrier Classic. That's going to go on pretty soon there. And they're going to play a basketball game on a U.S. Carrier, like a U.S. Navy carrier. And I just investigated this today, but they changed the logo. They're not going to use my logo anymore. So anyway, I brought in the T-shirt to show you that it was a thing at one time. Art and Soul, that was for local performance, street performance by 40 North. Chambana Moms, you might have heard of that. Boltini Lounge, again, working with local business. I say half my time is doing project management, the other half is working for the university, I think, more or less. I have a lot of university clients. Department of Urban and Regional Planning was one of the newer ones. I developed a website for them. So you can see here, I think it turned out, it's not a website I normally do, but I think it turned out really well. And just for something completely different, they wanted me to do a poster for their graduation too, or graduating seniors. So that's what this was. And my hand skills that I demonstrated on my earlier band posters came into play here. Actually being able to do their building, which is Temple Buell Hall there, render it. They wanted some imagery here, and I think this turned out really nice for them. They were really, really happy with it. And it's something that their graduates can keep and get framed and hang on to. Here, more university, ECE, Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. This is probably one of my favorite print pieces I've developed in recent memory. Got to use a varnish that show all these little gadgets, all these little computer gadgets in the varnish. But that's kind of what they do. They develop gadgets there. So, and also ECE, something I do every year is develop these posters and T-shirts for all the incoming freshmen. This is one for class of 2013. But this is fun to do. It's like a yearly thing. I've done one every year, well, the past 4 years. Moving on. My relationship with Taylor Studios didn't end when I left there in 2005 or 2006? Okay, 2006. I maintained a relationship. I got to do this great project for the Institute of Genomic Biology. Just kind of brought all my skills together again to do something three-dimensional, do something very clean, something very modern. And this is something you can go see. It's by the IGB. At night, it kind of glows. It kind of changes color. So it's a pretty cool exhibit. And show and tell. I'll just go over a few things. Computer science, like I said, actually I've been able to do lots of cool things. I did a magazine for them called New Architectures, which is their what do they call it? Alumni newsletter. And it turned out really well, I think. And I've been really lucky. Some of my clients just kind of let me go. Like this, they don't give me too much direction. As long as I'm showing them stuff that they can understand, I guess. So there's a fine balance between doing something really progressive as something I really want to do and something that people are going to actually want me to do, if that makes any sense. Computer science again. This is one of my favorite ones. 10 Things for 2010. This is again like talking about their program, some of the awards, what's going on, but it also gave me a chance to do an infographic that talked about how many award winners, their programs, the graduates, things that people will find interesting about the department.
About doing infographics, your voice changed when you said infographics. Infographics.
I love infographics. Actually,
what is the infographic that turns you on?
I guess it's like you have all this information. It's you could put it like bullet points. I mean, and people might read that, but if you put it like this, it makes it so exciting. And it's just kind of figuring out what to do with it. That's the exciting part. How to make it like accessible, like so they can just look at it and almost understand just by looking at it and just really. This is something I did at the News Gazette. This is one of my last things. I was there. This is all about twisters and tornadoes, but this is probably my first infographic, I would call it. did little icons and organized the material as best I could.
So do you think the world should be better organized? Would that be a better place to live?
No.
Just the information.
Yeah, that's information. Your place, you are the future of space exploration. This is the Taylor Studios project. But this one, I'm sorry I didn't bring any more, but I did a lot of illustrations for this of like asteroids and like spaceships. This was actually really fun. And this was like for kids. So instead of communicating with adults with this stuff, I had to communicate with children. So that was fun to do. And there's all these little monoliths back here that have all the information about the planets. That was a really fun project. And this is a big, huge piece of fabric that just hung over the ceiling. It was humongous, but it kind of lit up, and it was supposed to be the sun relative to the size of, I don't know how they just wanted to make it huge, I think. I don't think it's relative to anything. What else? I've only done one book, Chosen Voices. I did my internship, unpaid internship with University Press, the University of Illinois. Paul hooked me up with, and that was really interesting. The people that do this are really, really great, but it wasn't really my thing. It's just setting all this text.
So you did the interior?
No, I just did the cover.
Just the cover.
But I saw the room where they said all the text, and it was like really dimly lit, and everyone was quiet, and there was like, it's like I could never do that. Yeah, but they're really serious about it. They have to get their tea, and it was pretty fun. This is what I bought for just to have my portfolio in when I was a student. But there's.
So you interviewed with this at Taylor Studios. And
Yeah.
not because of the case. No.
Yeah, I got a job because of this case. I got a graphic design job.
Now, the thing is, no other student graduated with a case that year. Kurt was the only one.
Yeah, I kind of
Stood out. I remember that.
I thought I brought another Taylor Studios thing, but actually, that Dream of Flight exhibit that I showed you, I don't know, did I pass that around? That graphic, I can't remember. But anyway, I scanned the back of this, and that was a big part of the graphics. You could see like this kind of scratchy, but they thought that was pretty cool.
Did you say you got the Taylor Studios job right after graduation?
Pretty much, yeah. I think I started in May.
How did that happen?
No, you know what it was? I know it was, Matt. Joe Taylor came, Joe and Jason Cox, who worked there, came to the student show, and they saw my work, and I think they had been talking to Dean's Blueprint or something like that. So they had heard of me and were interested in me before I even applied. So the word got out.
Yeah. Okay. How did it feel when you started your first job?
Pretty good. I was doing graphic design at the News Gazette, and which was great. But I was ready to leave. I had been there for 8 years, and I was ready to go. So when I got my Taylor Studios job, it was really where I needed to be, and I was really thrilled to be not only working in creative field, but working with other creatives. That was everyone there. And just having that kind of studio feel, it was really great. And, like working on ideas and collaborating, and we're really trying to do like high concept stuff, like just trying to push it as far as we could, per the budget and other constraints. But
would you say that starting your own studio would not have been possible without doing the Taylor Studios gig for a few years?
Yeah, I definitely, my advice is to definitely work for someone else first, because then you learn a lot about presenting, you learn a lot about the terminology, you kind of start to speak the same language with clients, so they understand. So it was a really great experience, and actually the News Gazette was a really great experience too, because I was working on a product like daily, and I needed to communicate in a professional way, and I needed to care about what I was doing. So that, as much as kind of Taylor Studios, were great learning experiences for starting my own business and learning how to conduct myself like professionally. And
Did you work at News Gazette then, like, before and while you were in school?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Actually,
Were you a
the
marketing person who did graphic design?
no, I was an ad clerk, so I did like rudimentary page layout and a lot of data entry. Eventually I became a graphic designer, but that was like the last, I think, 6 months I was there.
And when did you go to college for? You went to U of I, right?
No, I went to Western Illinois.
Western, okay.
Yeah, journalism. I started out as a graphic artist, and then I lost my way. Another funny story is I went 20-year reunion of my high school graduation. I went back and a lot of my former classmates, and I told them what I did, and they were like, well, of course you're doing that. I was like, well, why didn't I figure that out until I was like 30? So they knew that's what I was supposed to do, but for some reason I thought I was supposed to do something else for a while.
And single studio?
Single stereo.
Oh, single stereo. How do you promote yourself these days?
I don't. Not really. I have a website.
Word of mouth.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of, I can't say that, I got on the preferred vendor list for the university, which is available for everyone at the university. They can call me up, just cold call me, because I'm preferred.
I'm on the list too, but no one calls me.
Yeah, I know.
I guess there's
What's your hourly rate? Maybe I guess I'm.
It is word of mouth. Like, you do good stuff, and people tell other people.
Yeah, and like there's this person I was telling you about, that person before, who I I met her at my son's daycare, and she was a copywriter, and she had all these contacts, and she hooked me up with all these people. I met someone at a party who was my computer science contact, and she was like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a graphic designer." She's like, "We need graphic designers." I was like, "Well, give me a call." So very random.
Well, thank you very much, Kurt.
Sure.
For spending time with us.
Thank you. Just one more thing to show you. This is I showed Paul this, and he just laughed, but this is my first piece of computer graphic design I did. This is my business card. I did it on my parents' PC, I think after I got out of college, and I hand drew the graphic artist and all this stuff. But it was on a dot matrix printer, and this is a scan of the printout, because I don't have I don't have the files anymore. But I thought it was pretty funny.